Ani, Bojo, Kwekwe. It's Catherine from Moonstarlodge. I've been director here, owner and director here for 40 years with my partner Brian, who's behind the scenes, manning the camera. We deal in Indigenous art, spirituality, and education, and I've been a curator of a collection of tarot and divination cards covering world styles and archetypes since 1974. So my collection now exceeds 1,300 decks and growing. If the Kickstarters that I've bought into ever get here, we are looking at the week for this reading of June 13th to 19th, and that includes the full moon of Storyteller. And Storyteller's full moon occurs on June 14th at 7:51 a.m. So this is important to prepare now for the rituals that you will do on the 14th or the night before and the day of the 14th, in order to manifest changes in the story that you've accumulated in the lifetime. No matter how young or old you are, we all have stories, good, bad, and indifferent. And it's the trauma stories and the distress stories that hold us sometimes in pain and fear. So this is very much asking the grandmother on that full moon to help us rewrite our stories. So let's go to the cards. These are the 5 decks. I used them earlier in the week, and I called it a dog's breakfast of cards because they're not ones I would normally pair together, but I'm trusting that, and so far the readings have been quite lovely, so I'm carrying on. Now the shamanic healing cards are here, and they're representing the healing that the shaman would ask us to initiate. The numinous astral card is here, and it's discussing the 7th house. The self-coaching deck card is here. We have enchanted blossoms representing ancestors. And finally, the spacious tarot is here. And we always dose. We dose whether it's 6 or 7 cards, you know, how many kinds of corroboration that we need. But usually I like an astrological one, shamanic one, ancestral, and in this case, a coaching card. So here are our spacious tarot cards representing this week of the 13th to the 19th. And we start with Judgment. That's a very interesting card to start with. Judgment about the direction we're going and the choices that we can make as we choose whether or not to go through that door. This is the second last card in the major arcana, and it's all about the discernment required to get to the end of the cycle, which happens to be this card here, number 21, the World. So we're very close to the completion. We're making decisions, and what's interesting is the shamanic card is this card, Discernment, and it's a wee bird. It's hard to see this deck. The cards are quite dark, but I love them very dearly. Discernment will allow us to make the kinds of decisions actively, the judgments, I should say, the decisions and judgments, which help us move through to the end of the cycle, because there is later on the concept of new beginnings. Here we go. So we have achieved in our process, let's call it a process. The 9 of Pentacles is the achievement of earthly goods and desires, whether it's our job, money, family, the things which keep us safe and functional in this third dimension. We've achieved as we get near the end of this major arcana cycle, and that's good. And it says, to me, it's clarified by perception. So perception with the yin and yang sign is balance. Balanced judgment. Judgment has to be balanced. This is very, very balanced, egalitarian, equal, a foot in all possible pathways that are leading you in a very good way as we approach this full moon. What you're gaining is the world. You're gaining this completion that this reading is suggesting is happening, and it's coming with the help of the 7th house. So you focus on where the 7th house is in your chart, if you know how to do that, and go to astro.com if you don't. And this is about relating. So partners, companionship, best friends, marriage, relationships, oppositions, equilibrium, sharing, communion, justice, balance, social awareness. Here's this balance. There's equilibrium. There's the discernment, the judgment. So we can move forward when we have these aspects in balance. We're bringing along, obviously, on our journeys, those with whom we are in relationship, and earthly and otherwise. Once you've completed this cycle, you're well into the plans and preparation with this 3 of Wands for the next journey you're going on. So you've accrued the maturity, you've created, what you need at the end of this cycle to move you into another journey. You don't have to sit and think about where is that going. You already know, apparently, where that's going. And you need to have pride. This card is the ancestor card. These 2 cards actually are representing ancestors in the intention that I placed for this reading. So pride. So you have an amaryllis, and the butterfly is the gaudy commodore. This is actually the butterfly disguised as a dragon. So go with pride on your new journey. You're not quite there yet, but you're well into it and you know where you're going, which means you can take a break and have some rest. This card appeared earlier in the week, and it's really important when you need to rest that you take the rest. You've completed something. You need to give yourself a break before you jump into too far into this journey. And the ancestor is saying beginnings. That's why you need to rest. You need to be rested, not exhausted, to start something new. So this is a daffodil. This is the first flower, or one of the first flowers of the spring in April. So this could be suggesting that what you're developing here manifests as far as next April, so almost a year from now. But I really think it's also simply symbolic of the concept of new beginnings. But hold that other thought, just in case. Now, when we are resting, we are in a good place and balanced. It's when we don't take a rest, when we don't, take a break from the journey, the movement forward, that we can fall into a couple of cautionary things here. This is the seven of Cups. And the Seven of Cups is a lot about discernment, a plethora of choices of all kinds, good, bad, and indifferent, are there for us to have. I'm just grabbing something here. We have experience. This shows the end of this cycle and knowing where we're going with a new cycle. Having this time to rest gives us experience, the experience to discern the bad from the good. And the one cautionary thing here is fear. Your fears are keeping you from moving forward into the life that you deserve. So this is speaking as if it is happening, and I'm suggesting that you take the directive here, that don't let fear cause you to make the wrong choice. Don't let fear sabotage the beauty of what you're bringing into next week as we move toward this full moon. Take the rest you need when you need it. Know that you have done the best you can and you've made good choices. You can flip the camera, Brian. So I hope this is a helpful reading. It certainly speaks volumes to me, especially since this card has come up twice this week. So I wish you peace and wellness and joy on this journey through the full moon into the third quarter of Storyteller. Aho.